There are two sides to every story. And there's been a tension I've had to live in for a while now, and the best way I can describe it is this. Imagine you're floating down the middle of a river. You have little control of where the waves take you, but you know you'll go to one side or the other. It's inevitable. One side of the bank represents your emotions, the other side, your spirituality. It's as if they cannot coexist. Why is that? Isn't being intimate with someone impossible if you can't welcome them into your entire thought process, your emotions, and everything in between? What I wanted to do is pull back the curtains of my heart and welcome you into what's actually happening in my life, not just putting spiritual sounding words to a melody that's been sung before. This is vulnerable, real, and honestly the most honest I know how to be. There are two sides to every story, but they go together beautifully and they were made to coexist. The tension of this or that, pick one or the other, and either or is simply a mask for being afraid. If we don't open up about our most tragic, magical, and even heartbreaking moments, what are we giving to the world? I want to put the whole thing out there in the open. What I'm trying to get across is that all emotions point us to some kind of truth. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're lonely, if you're sad, if you're really happy. On days like that, I feel like it's important to talk to God about what's going on in your heart and just sit alone with him and just spill out all of your thoughts. And that's what I try to do when I write songs. I feel like my songs are thoughts and promises that God's given to me in places he's healed me and restored wounds that I didn't even know that I had. And so through this whole thing, I hope that this brings you some sort of peace. It brings you comfort in knowing that no emotions are wrong or bad, but they're all simply pointing us to a truth that is greater than ourselves and something that God wants to show us and reveal to us about his character and the very nature of who he is. Everything and more is about acknowledging your mistakes, sharing your heart down to the details, and recognizing that you need someone to carry the burden with you at times. Have you ever wanted something to be right so badly that you forget who you are? That was me, sitting on the floor of my bedroom, recognizing that the man I thought I knew didn't know me at all. I had invested all this time, energy, and love without question to make sure I didn't lose a good thing, when in reality it was only killing me. This is a story of someone who I had loved and will never regret loving. We were so close, but something inside of me wouldn't let me go through committing 100%. I had to recognize that no matter how badly I wanted it to work, it wouldn't. So with a broken heart and crumbling expectations, I let go. I didn't want to let go. This whole song is about regretting and wondering for a split moment the letting go. What if I had stayed? It was the idea of being completely adored that I was in love with, not him. I didn't know that at the time, but God did. This is a completely raw and uncovered version of my heart when I was going through that time of missing a relationship that was flawed. I wanted to do a shot with girls lying on the floor of a bedroom, kind of resembling what I went through during that time and knowing that everybody goes through it at some point or another. And the feeling of torturing myself with keeping in touch with him every now and then or letting him back into my life to satisfy this hole in my heart. I would go back to old places like the movies or stores we'd go to and just sit and cry. And I would just ask God why he would take something away that I thought he had given to me in the first place. Watching this video back of the scene of me in the bathroom crying and just kind of losing it is actually so similar to what I was going through at the time. And I just remember crying and looking at myself in the mirror and not even recognizing myself. And there were pieces of me that I had lost during that time that I wanted so desperately to get back. But I thought, being reunited with that love that I was so familiar with a person would fix that, when in reality it was the very thing that was making me anxious, making me feel depressed. And in the next scene, when all of these people walk in, the extras, and it just represents, a lot of my friends that have gone through the same thing. And I know that I'm not the only one, and I had to be reminded of that. And in that season, it was so important for me to have people surrounding me and encouraging me, like, hey, I've been through this before too, and I just want to be here with you, even if it's just me sitting in your grief and your pain and letting you go through it in a healthy way. And so I wanted to end the video with me sitting alone in my room, because at the end of the day, nobody can heal your heart for you. Nobody can make it easier, and it's just a part of the human experience, going through broken relationships and giving all you have and not getting anything back. And so I had to come to a point where it was just me and God and my broken, fragile heart, and letting him heal me the way that only he can.